You want to speak in your microphone, please?
Hello.
And once again, I can't fucking hear you. Again?
Hello.
No, never. Why do I never hear you? You have the weakest voice ever.
Hello.
Keep repeating it. It won't change anything because I cannot hear you. But yet, I can hear myself. We'll have to do like we normally do and expect it to work. Go live. And of course, with the no, it does not work. So we're gonna have to be. Why is it that fucking goddamn always a problem with this? Blah 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 blah. How do we? Okay, let's see this flip gifts. I guess we're gonna have to leave it like that because I cannot figure out what the issue is. Josie, can you speak please so that the people on the live can tell me if you hear my girlfriend with the lowest fucking voice on the internet, never capable of being picked up by a microphone? Always like that, every time.
Yeah, but maybe it's your microphone.
No, maybe you need to fucking speak up.
I am
So,
speaking.
if the people on the stream can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you can hear this one, because blah blah blah. She talks so much in real life, but yet when it comes to recording her, she seems all.
This is not my element. What? Not in any way, shape, or form.
Not only that, but guys, she's Italian, so speaking loud is something that they do all the time for no fucking reason. They speak loud, but yet when it comes to live, everything gets complicated and she can't speak. So let me fix this camera. Then
We're good.
well, not really, because now I'm in your feed. So my apologies. It's always a pain in the ass to record with her. I don't know why, but every single time something has to go wrong, it goes wrong on this feed. So I got this. Thanks a lot, bro. Yeah, I think so. I'm not too worried about me. I'm always more worried about her because, yeah, it's her. So.
I make life interesting.
Oh, fuck, is that not an understatement? Thanks, James. So you confirm that we can hear her tiny voice, her tiny Italian voice. Let us start on something interesting. I posted a video this morning about a quote that Chris Rock made, a comment that he made in one of his sketch years and years ago. He said that only women, children, and dogs are unconditionally loved, meaning that in order for men to be loved, we have to provide something. This is basically what it means. And yeah, Josie and I were talking this morning, and we figured that would make for a very fucking interesting point of conversation, and I agree. Yeah. So, what do you think? Why do you think? Do you think that's true or not?
At first, before our conversation, I felt it was a bit.
Your microphone's in your chin. Jesus. Hello. Okay, sorry. I like to make fun of her. It's all good. She's used to me.
So go. No, I didn't think at first.
Take number 2. Go ahead.
I didn't think at first, but then you just explained it. Yeah, because essentially the way I understood is that you guys are more disposable. One and two, because what did you say? Something along the lines of it's okay. Just mix it.
Okay. Something along the lines.
Something along the lines of you have to provide something to be like it's an exchange with men, whereas women it's just is. Whereas men need to give something to get something, whereas women and children, particularly children, and I like the fact that you put dogs in there, not any other animal, but just dogs.
Dogs are fucking awesome. I love dogs.
yeah, kids, obviously you just love them unconditionally. They don't need to give you anything because they're kids, they're innocent.
Yeah, most of the time at least.
Most of the time, but I mean, when they come out of the womb, they are innocent.
Coach Rob approved once again. Thanks, bro. Always a pleasure. So the question for Rob is it true that women, dogs, and children are the only creatures that will be unconditionally loved? Meaning that for men, in order for us to be loved, we have to bring something to the equation, and we will only be loved when we do that, because it's not because we bring something on the in the beginning of a relationship, for example, that automatically women will continue loving us. It's something that we need to continuously bring forward, or else we won't be there anymore. And I love how Chris Rock said it, and as Josie said it this morning, she didn't agree. When we first started talking about it this morning, she did not agree with me. But for the people out there that don't know me personally, I am like that. Like what you see on camera is who I am, and I preach all the fucking time. It doesn't matter to who. If Josie doesn't agree with me, we get into an hour conversation about what we're talking.
But it's a respectful conversation.
I don't know, but all I'm saying is that this is not a persona.
No.
What you guys see here, I would agree. I would argue that it's a tamed down version of what I actually am.
I don't think it's tamed down.
No? Okay, well, at least that's good. My marketing team would be happy to hear that.
Zero.
But the point in the matter is that how I see it is this. If you look, of course, we all heard the expression women and children first, as in a situation where it's a deadly situation. Women and children always get to be saved first. And this is a bit where it comes from. But if I go into details, and this is what I wanted to do, is that if you look at the way it actually is, I think it's Jordan Peterson that explains it in the first chapter of his first book. Well, technically the second book, which is, I can't remember, 12 Roots for Life by Jordan Peterson. What he explains is that he takes an example about it's either crabs or lobsters. I believe it's lobsters. Either way, there's a hierarchy. If you look at the way women choose mates, there is a hierarchy. They will always go for the biggest, baddest, the biggest provider. Let's call a spade a spade. There's two things that women look into a man, and his status and security, basically. But let's call it security because it takes status, it takes resources, and it takes the man being able to protect you physically. So let's call it security. This is what women look the most in men is security. When it comes to men, we mostly look at women for their beauty, because we assume in our head, it's a part of our DNA, we believe that the most beautiful the woman is, the better she's going to be at bearing child. The better the children, the better DNA, the better looking children we're going to get. And the second thing is faithfulness, but this is not the point of this conversation. Yeah. That being said, if you look at a woman, all she needs to bring to a relationship is herself, is to take care of herself physically. She attracts the male. And most of the time, that's all she needs to bring. She just needs to bring herself. Yet, the man is expecting, from the get-go, the man is expected to provide certain things. Let's call it security for the lack of, just to keep it short. But this is how the relationship between men and women is. The thing to keep in mind is this: we always have to give something in return, and this is why men are never unconditionally loved. They're only loved in a context where they bring something to the equation. And I think it's in the same skit, Chris Rock goes into more details and starts explaining how women never go down when it comes to relationship. Yeah. So meaning that if they're going to go and choose a mate, they will find somebody that's at least their equal. And even then, it's not interesting to them. They always want somebody that's better, if you will, that has more than what they do.
Yeah.
But yet in a men's situation, we don't really care. Like I'm a provider. I don't need a woman's money, if you will. I don't need a woman to protect me. I don't need a woman to take care of me in a financial sense. So we don't care. Men don't care about what the woman brings to the equation, as long as she's a good person. Basically, that's all that matters to us, is that they're good looking and they're a good person.
Yeah.
This is why I'm saying that it's never equal. It's always going to be as long as the man brings something to the equation, the woman will be interested. But in the times that he will not, she will replace him. And look at the, you can look at the justice system. It is exactly how it works. Like 90% of divorces, 70 to 90%, depending on education level, are started by women.
Yeah.
So it reflects it in reality.
But what are the? This is my.
But it
I
doesn't.
don't disagree with it, but it depends. Like for me, it's always like, well, what's the reason
Doesn't
to
matter.
this? If it's just because she's a bitch, then that's one thing. But if it's because, yes, men need to bring.
But it doesn't. But it doesn't matter the reason why she leaves, because it comes down to something we've spoken about before. The system is made into a point where men have to try harder because most men will lose a lot financially and their kids. So not only do women divorce between 70 and 90% of the time, they take the kids 90% of the time. So that means that even if they're on equal footing when it comes to money, 90% chances that he's not going to get his kids. He's going to be able to see them every few weekends or every 2 weekends. However, she decides that it should work. So no matter what, even the system plays on that. This is why I'm saying the system's wrong, but don't think that what I'm saying is a bad thing. It just is. I think there's a massive problem with the justice system when it comes to family law. But when I say that a man is never unconditionally loved, he always needs to be bringing something, I don't think it's that necessarily of a bad thing. Because that means that men needs to be kept on their toes all the time.
Yeah.
And the day you start growing, the people around you will stop appreciating. So to me, it's I don't like the word motivation, but
yeah,
that's how I see it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not a great thing. It's not a bad thing. It just fucking is. And I think that's what's important to talk about. It's not the fact that we need to change that. It is the way it is. This is how men and women. That's the relationship between men and women, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like we were saying this morning, only women can bear children.
Yeah. So yes, because women can bear children, they are more vulnerable, and there needs to be some, like, as a partner, you should be able to provide that protection because she is bearing this child. She's protecting, she's nurturing, she's growing this human inside of them. So yeah, they're more vulnerable. They need someone to protect them. And at the end of the day, like, you're not. Yes, I've never been pregnant, so I'm not sure, but I could assume seeing friends that are pregnant, they're not as productive in the workplace as they would be if they wouldn't, because their body, their mind, everything, I think, is really just focusing on that. And I think it should be just focusing on that, in my opinion. Like, why should a woman? I don't think women should be working pregnant. That's a lot to bear. That's a lot to do. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. That you can disagree with me, but
you don't have to be sorry. Stop apologizing.
But that's my opinion. If you're a woman, and like, you shouldn't have that, unless you're a single mother or whatever, or you want to. But I don't think you should have to think about finances and growing this child in you. 1, 2, you shouldn't have to worry about protection. You should have someone who's with you to do that, because you're in a vulnerable state.
Yep.
And just to get back to what you said about the justice system, how like.
But hold on, don't switch from one to the other. But and see again, I like the way you said it, because I'm not saying this as a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, forget the justice system. This is a completely different thing. It's just that type of thing reflects into our justice system. Yeah. But all to say that women bring to the equation to be able to bear children.
Yeah.
Men cannot bear children by themselves, neither can women. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Women need to be protected because they're carrying our most important resources, which are children.
Yeah.
And it is the job of a man, in my opinion, and it is the duty of a man, should I say, to protect their women, financially, emotionally, and physically. Because yes, when they are pregnant, they are vulnerable. They're more vulnerable than normally. And look at the difference. Look at the size difference between my girlfriend and I. I'm about 210 pounds, between 2 and 210, depending on the day. My girlfriend weighs about 110 pounds. I'm literally, and I think you can tell just by, when you look at the camera, it's pretty fucking simple to see. But the point in the matter is that this needs to be accepted by both men and women.
Yeah.
And the reason I made that comment in one of my podcasts last week was because we're taking, privileged women, right, let me rephrase that. Women today are extremely privileged when it comes to this, and this is why most young women think that they can go on without a man. Yet men do everything for them, even though they're not related to them. And this is why I think this is important to speak about. This is why I was happy you wanted to speak about this morning, because it allows to speak about the mentality of people that we see today.
Yeah.
Because there is a massive misunderstanding, especially on the feminine side of things, to believe that men are not needed, that they don't need men in their life, yet we do everything for them. It's always men that build the infrastructure that women use on a daily basis. They maintain it, they build it, they die building it. It's always men that protects countries. It's always men that will.
Men are the ones that are disposable at the end.
100%.
When it comes to war and things like that.
And everything. No, but every time, everything.
Yeah.
It's not just war.
No.
It's just war is a great example.
War is a great example, but it just in the workforce too. Yes, men do more, majority, if not all of the
dangerous
jobs, like all of that. And yes, there are some women, but that's like a minority.
But it's always it's 5% and less. Yeah.
Yeah. And I asked you this question, and you're like, I don't want to answer, because yes, it's always been what men.
I didn't want to answer it off podcast, so that you remember to ask me again.
But it was cool because yes, it's always men, children, women, and children first, but. And now that you brought in the justice system and how women and children are protected, and they're given funds, and like if they leave their husbands, like there's alimony or like child support or whatever, the justice system is behind them.
Is taking care of women.
It's taking care of women and children. And I asked you this is like, do you think the reason women and children are put first now the same reason as it was, I don't know, 100 years ago, thousands of years ago? Because it's always been women and children first, but is it the same reason now? Like, are men disposable in the same reason as they were like hundreds of years ago, or even like, I don't know, 100 years ago?
Well, I think it's a multifaceted question that you're asking.
Or is it political?
I think it's a bit of everything. Because, a few hundred years ago, let's say 100 years ago and more, women didn't have the rights that they have today.
Yeah.
You look at a lot of Middle Eastern countries and you can see it. Women don't have the same rights as men do. And I think that what happened is that it's switched completely to the other side. So you went from a situation where the mother was seen as a stay-at-home and being shackled by the kitchen, basically. Then women asked for equality. So you have the first wave of feminism that asked for the rights of voting, which is bullshit, because at the end of the day, the reason it's part of the Constitution of the U.S. for you to be able to vote meant that you were able to be recruited in the army if there was a war. If they needed you, you didn't have an opinion. You had to go, but this is how you got the right to vote.
Yeah. Women
got that right to vote without having to be part of the military, which is bullshit, but either way, doesn't matter. I just thought I'd mention that.
Of course you did.
But the thing is, I think that at one point women did not have as many rights as men did, and this was the second wave of feminism to get equal rights, which I'm 100,000% for. As facing the law, you and I should have the same rights, no questions about it. But then it swung way too much on the other side. Now women have advantages in pretty much everything. Like if you look, like, I know you're very honest with this, and you're unlike most women out there. You will agree that people call it a man's world. It's fucking bullshit. It's a women's world. Women control more. Like, just look at the spending habits. I think it's 70 to 80% of money is spent by women.
Of course.
Yet they argue that men make more money. So you can see the irony there. But the point is that, to answer your question, I think it swung too much on the other side, to a point where men are taken advantage of. Women might have been taken advantage of before. I don't know. I can only read what history says. But yet I've seen a lot. If I look at my grandmother, she didn't have all She didn't look like she had all the rights that they have today, yet she was extremely happy. She had like 9 or 10 kids, and she took care of them her whole life, and she was extremely happy.
Yeah.
She died in her late 90s.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it just swung the other way around. It's just that we're in a situation right now where, yes, men are disposable. They always have been, and I imagine they always will be, which, fine by me. I don't have a problem with that.
We'll see.
Huh?
So we'll see.
No, it's always going to be like that. But again, we talked about this morning, and you agreed. If there's an intruder in my house, I'm the one that's going to get up and is going to fight that intruder. My girlfriend expects that, and I will expect to do that for my children too, no matter what the situation might. Look at Dennis. Fuck, what's his name? Daniel Penny. Daniel Penner.
I don't know.
Fuck, it's the Marine guy that stopped a mental illness individual in the subway at the beginning of the month in New York. Basically, the guy came in, started swearing at everybody, started saying that he was ready to die, finish in prison, blah, blah, blah. Turns out the guy has like a rap sheet, like 42 arrests, violence against women. He didn't know that at the time, but he took it upon himself to take the guy down. But unfortunately, the guy ended up dying. Yeah. Now he's facing law consequences when I believe the system was to blame. But this is what a guy does. He took it upon himself, not thinking about the
consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why we say that men are disposable. And I would do the same for my family. Yeah. If somebody steps in my house and I need to defend my family, I will do whatever needs to get done in order for my family to be safe. Doesn't matter that it means I need to die or I need to kill someone and end up facing jail time. This is my responsibility as a man.
Yeah.
But the reason I liked you asking that question this morning is that I don't feel that women are giving that back, or they don't appreciate that fact that I just said. Yeah. They don't appreciate the fact that men are disposable, and they don't bring much to the equation. Like we don't, what's her name? Pearly Things talks about this all the time. How men are expected to do everything. Like everybody expects a man to pay for the first date, but yet, if we remember what I said earlier, two of the things that men want is a good-looking woman and a woman that's faithful. So that means not a slut that's always sleeping around everywhere.
Yeah.
But men don't get that anymore. But yet women expect a man to pay. It's always
they expect to be treated like a lady, but not really.
But not be one. But the gender roles are very lopsided in the favor of women. And this is where I think the biggest issue is that not only those women have all the advantages, but they don't even realize how privileged they are. And it makes it extremely hard for a man to say, man, I really want to marry a girl because we have everything to lose. Mm-hmm. So I think that most men don't understand the fact that they are disposable, that it is their duty as a man to protect their family. But at the same time, I think that women also need to understand this, that it is the gender role of a man is to protect, to provide security.
Yeah.
And women need to accept that too and appreciate that, because unfortunately for men, we are in a situation where we often get fucked as per the court system, because women forget that.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've heard women divorce their husband because he's never around? Okay, sure. How much money did he give you? Did he provide for?
This is where I have a bit of an issue, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, he gives you money. And I've said this to you before, and I'll continue saying this. You cannot, and this is both women, like you can't expect someone to give you, like, to financially support you, to protect you, and not give anything back. But at the same time, you can't expect your woman to just accept that, like, oh, I give you money, you should be. Like, there's more between that. Yes, there are gender roles, and don't get me wrong. Like, we have.
Yeah, but you can't have everything. This is the problem with women, is that they want everything. And you and I have spoken about this many times.
Oh, but
you wish I was softer. You wish I was more.
I wish, no, there are things that, and I'm not speaking for all women. I'm just going to speak for myself. But there are things that I would, like, obviously want more in terms of, like, an emotional aspect. Or just be like, instead of being like, hey, like, plan the dinner, we're gonna go out for dinner, and just your contribution is just paying. Like, women want to feel like a woman too. I want to feel like, okay, he's thinking about me too. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be random things. Like, these are things that women want too, and it doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have to be every day, every week. It could just be random random acts like that of being like, hey, I'm actually thinking of you, instead of just being, well, I pay for everything, you should just be happy. Yes, you should be happy.
But that's not what it comes down to. Again, you make.
But this is what it translates to.
No, it does not. No, see, and this is the problem of most women's privilege, is that how can you expect me to? So you chose a guy that's a very alpha man that wants to change the world. This is who you chose. You've known this since we known each other, that I have very big plans, I have very big ideas, and I live my word on like every single day. So you chose an obsessed individual that is a workhorse. You cannot expect him to have all the qualities of a weak man.
But it's not a weak man.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. To me, it is. We've established the fact that a man needs to be emotional with his woman. But I'm not. But you guys have been lied to by Walt Disney your whole life, expecting somebody that is extremely feminine yet extremely masculine at the same time. That shit does not work. You either get the provider and the protector that will die defending you, or you get the guy that's going to hold your purse, and chances are he's not going to do much when it comes to fighting an intruder. He's not going to be the best provider. You cannot have everything. You have to pick and choose. You can get a guy that is somewhat of a good provider. That's more the average guy, and again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. He could be a good protector as well, but you chose a guy that is an obsessed individual in everything that he does, and I'm not the average guy out there, and that's what you chose. This is why it makes me laugh that you expect a million different things, yet women tend to forget who they chose. If you chose a guy that is one of the 5%ers, one of the guys that most women want, that is a very driven guy, that is a very alpha man.
Yeah.
You can't expect him to act like 95% of the rest of the guys, because he is not 95% of the guys.
True.
And again, I think this is one of the biggest reasons for divorce. One of the biggest divorce problem is sex, but we know that women associate sex with emotion. So the husband is not emotional enough or not present enough. Men cheat for sexual urges. Women cheat because of a lack of emotion within their couple. That's normally why women cheat, to feel loved. Guys do it for the animal urge that it is to cheat.
But this is my point. Like those small acts, like that's how women, or some women, like feel like they're a priority or loved or all of these things. Like this is what I'm saying. Like your interpretation is.
No, but I fully agree, and I get what you're saying. It's just that women normally have the ability to ignore those things and just leave.
No, I agree. Like there's work on both sides. It can't just be like I'm providing.
But women don't have any incentive.
And women and just like, well, I look pretty, so I deserve this. No, there's more to just.
But you have to agree that women have no incentives to stay.
Nowadays, no. That's what I was saying. Is it like because they feel safe?
Did you guys hear that? She agrees with me. Did you hear that? Hey, Rob, you've been married forever. You know what it is when your woman agree with you. We should end it right there.
It's short-lived.
It's
gonna be one time recorded.
Yeah, but we've been going for 30 minutes already.
Damn.
Yeah, it goes fast. We're gonna have to start going, I think, longer, because you're getting more and more comfortable with this. So, no, I like it. So hold on, before we go, let me read a few things. One first has to define love. Love has many different roads. Women can love many things about men. Sometimes it's what men do that attracts women to men. Yeah, but I agree with you, but you have to agree, Rob, that love is a choice. To me, love is a logical thing that I do everything, because I am not ran by my emotions.
It is a choice. It's a choice when.
But women, it doesn't need to be a choice.
It's a choice. Point. No, but it's a choice when things are difficult. You still have to choose. It's like let's get in an argument. You want to kill that person, not that little.
Yeah, but again, that's not the point. The point of the matter is that it doesn't need to be as much as Dina's saying that it is a choice, and I know her very well. I've known her for fucking 20 years. I understand she has like 4 or 5 kids. Like that woman's a beast. Like she's a great mother. But the thing is, it is still women always get the card to leave. but I don't. Like, I don't have that card. I cannot
because
play.
there's
And
always
if I-
outlets for them. There's going
and
to be
I
an
know-
outlet for them, of
And
course.
I've been through this, and I knew when I left that it would cost me a shit ton of money, and it did.
Yeah, because women have outlets to
Yeah.
like of resources to kind of assist them.
No, fuck you. My bank account is not a resource to assist you.
I meant
Hey,
the
for all the people out
government.
there, this is to her that I'm giving.
no, but you know what I mean. It's just
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have
I know.
outlets to help them in getting 100% of everything.
You know, on that note, let's carry on this conversation next time. And thanks again for everybody that showed up. Thanks for you that's watching this video later on or that's listening to the podcast. I'm not, no, my girlfriend thought I was talking about her because I looked in her direction, but I'm talking to the people in the microphone. So thank you for everybody out there. Thank you. We appreciate and we have a lot of gratitude for everybody that's out there that's listening. So yeah, thank you. And on that note, remember that the world is changed one man at a time, and it takes just one man to change the world. Peace.